Welcome to our first P&D cast. In today's cast, we will go over results and rewards, if any, for episode 1 of The Village, as well as open up the phase for the next coming episodes. I'll also touch a little on the new remodeled phases, and sprinkled in between, I'll be asking our major characters some questions about the past episode, as well as anyone who called in to us on Anchor to answer the question that we posed: who is your favorite character and why? As a reminder of the Village system, your character's ranks are hidden to you. Many factors play into your chances of survival. When successful in this game, you don't go up in ranks because I want your survival to be depending solely on your living conditions and your allies that may or may not support you. Instead, you become more woke. Woke changes how I rate your character's actions. Think of it like plot armor, less getting your lips bitten off, more kicking ass. Let's start with the Ice Run event that was taken by Connor O'Toole, Deacon Myers, Gordon Sundale, and Gramps. This event was to create a connection between the old leader and a player in the group. So even though Henry died, this was still a victory. Henry sacrificed himself for another life, and he appreciated Connor and Deacon not wanting to leave him alone. Connor O'Toole, your influence during the episode leaves the settlement feeling confident in their ability to survive. Once word got around that you risked your life to save Henry, the NPCs respect and adore you and are more likely to assist you this coming phase. Gordon Sundale, your goal was to provide cover fire for Henry, protecting the leader, and you were successful. You saved Henry's life several times over in the thick of things. You too are being talked about in the settlement, and people respect you for your courageousness. Gramps, you were able to support by leading Connor to the trapped settlers. The Ice Run event was a rescue mission and left no time for foraging, but you'll have plenty of time to do this during the coming phase. I will say that while running through the woods, you saw an odd flower in the snow, but didn't have time to grab it. Remember this. Deacon Myers, your courageousness and well-planned diversion bought a lot of time as the ones left behind were able to escape and catch up with the others at the school. Some of those NPCs feel indebted to you. You should visit them sooner or later. I had a chance to ask one of our major characters, and the player of Deacon Myers, what his inspiration behind the character was and where it came from.
The inspiration behind Deacon Myers was that I've been watching post-apocalyptic movies and playing games since I was a little kid. And the story behind Deacon is that I want to make a character that's broken and builds up. So, throughout the series, you'll see that he'll become the warrior, the protector that he is meant to be, while also having to deal with his own shit.
Leave it to the creator of Makai Funoichi to introduce to us a faction of Apocalypse Defenders. What's so special about Shining Light, and will we learn more of them?
See, now the cool thing about Shining Light is that it's a faction created by powerful government figures that want to protect the survivors from the evil forces that are attacking the planet. Now, throughout the episodes, Deacon will have flashbacks of his team and his faction. So we'll definitely see a lot more about the Shining Light.
So I noticed that Deacon specifically went and grabbed an axe. What's up with that? I wouldn't think that would be his weapon of choice.
Now, the reason an axe is Deacon's weapon of choice is because it's an heirloom. It was passed down to him when his father died, but his father died before anything of the evil forces and death ever happened.
So with everything that's transpired in the past episode, how does Deacon Myers feel right now?
Right now, Deacon is feeling broken and worthless because, once again, a person that he vowed and swore to protect has fallen to the evil forces that are attacking the planet. So throughout the episodes, you will see how this changes him, how this breaks him apart.
You all were successful and become woke, level 1. As a unit, the settlement respects each of your brave actions. On to the event Sidetracked, taken by Earl, Tobias, Anthony, Bull, Kalen, and Raven. This event was created to be an opportunity to recover some resources for your new settlement, and it looks like all the right people came. You all woke up to level 1 of Woketivity. Earl Birmingham, your god smiled upon you today and led your party to a home filled with resources, including noodles and fortune cookies. This is guaranteed food for some time. The settlement heard of your faith and what it brought, and a good portion of the settlement is starting to believe. Tobias Touchstone, you were able to lead Kalen to more resources. You yourself were able to recover some drugs necessary to satiate your addiction for a good while. Your uplifting music makes the NPCs feel closer to you. Anthony, your plan to split the group worked. You also uncovered a sizable cache of ammo, a very rare commodity. Your leadership qualities are talk of the town right now. Bull, you were able to haul a great portion of the supplies. This means that your settlement has an abundance of one particular resource at the moment. What this resource is your choice. I'll also give you the option of declaring that the resource belongs to another player and that you were hauling it for them, and this is something that they wouldn't have had if it wasn't for you. In that case, you'll leave what the resource is up to that person. Kalen, you successfully gathered a ton of resources. In addition to a cache of powerful medicine, a mass of food, your choice, and batteries, you also acquired 3 caches of resources. These resources can be traded or given to anyone and will be whatever it is the player is looking for. Raven, you acquired a steel halberd that was kept in great condition. You also amassed a lot of filtered water in the form of water bottles, maybe about 24 of these. We asked the players what characters they were interested in and why. The player of Bull reached out to us on Anchor and chimed in with his answer.
My favorite village character, other than my own character, Bull, probably going to be Jack. I thought she was a very creative character, very original choice, and I think the player does a decent job role-playing her. It's going to be interesting to see where they go with her, see what she does, and see what she plans and how she pulls that off.
I gotta agree with you. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what he does with her as well. She seems very resourceful, and the fact that she's a kind of like a tomboyish child, you know, where does a person like that fit into the dynamic of things? She's, you're in a world where everyone is out on their own. So when you have a child that's out there on their own, it's like you want to kind of be there for them, but at the same time, she can take care of herself. So I think the dynamic between her young character and a lot of the older characters should be really interesting. On to the event Hall Sweep, taken by Titus, Jay Strickland, Harmony, Jack, Randy, Tal Yang, and Danny. This event comes with great responsibility. If it were to fail, all the players incoming would have been hurt. I also want to apologize for the misunderstanding. In most of your submissions, you all had stated that your characters were setting up shop, and this was due to me saying secure the school, but by secure I meant clear it of threats. The upcoming phase will be the perfect time to set up shop though. Randy Parsons and Danny Myers, both of you went on a quest to survey the school and were off to a good start. Both of you saw for the most part what you were looking for but failed. Randy, you were not able to find the software that you were looking for. Danny, you weren't able to locate what you needed for the CCTV. Randy, your nose is broken and your lip is torn. Keep this in mind when going forward. Danny, your face is terribly swollen and shattered, and you can only see through one of your eyes. Speaking is very painful and difficult, as well as concentrating. Jay Strickland, you have a good amount of ammo as you were able to conserve a lot of it during this altercation. Those in your settlement feel safe around you after your leadership. Harmony, you were able to begin the planning and designing of defenses, and you're off to a great start. It'll take you half the time. Jack, you were able to find salvageable materials to assist with the defenses. A lot of what you salvaged will easily cut the amount of resources you need in half for 2 major projects and/or undertakings of your choice. Tal Yang, with your knowledge of these corrupted beings, the freaks, we know they are possessed with dark matter. Everything else is up to you. You can submit lore on these freaks through the lore board. Titus, with your support, you were a great asset in clearing the halls with Jay Strickland. You spotted some electronics here and there, but with all the action that was taking place, you couldn't focus on searching. I reached out to one of our major characters, Titus Zevlin, and asked him what his inspiration was behind this character. You know, he seemed like quite the gadgeteer. I was wondering if maybe he was inspired by anyone.
So my inspiration for Titus is basically me. I wanted to see how I would do in a somewhat realistic apocalyptic scenario, should one ever go down. So Titus is a more intelligent and capable version of me. And he gets to go through that experience, which hopefully doesn't occur in my lifetime, and that'll kind of give me a heads up to see how I would do.
Hell yeah, that's the best way to prepare, man. I did the same thing. Me and my friends, we got together and we played a tabletop game. We were playing as ourselves in a situation where shit went to hell. And I was not a better version or an exaggerated version myself. I gave myself the same crappy skills. Because running games will not help you in the apocalypse. I can tell you that. But anyway, what's going through Titus Zevlin's head right now after all the events that took place in the last episode?
So these are Titus's thoughts after the episode occurred and the events. Basically, when he got pinned to those bleachers, he nearly pissed himself, which really brought him back down to earth that this isn't a video game or a manga. And he's definitely going to be reflecting on how to avoid that in the future, and he's going to draw courage from his hero, Jax Erlin. But once his mind gets settled down, he's going to get down to what he does best, and that's going to be designing gadgets and tech that will hopefully assist him and the crew in the future.
Yeah, man, he seems like quite the genius, to the point where I actually had to be like, whoa, hold up, is this Gamma Haven? You said x-ray goggles in your submission, that you wanted x-ray goggles. So that's an example of kind of how I had to kind of curb it to make it more realistic, because to my knowledge, there are no x-ray goggles you can just have. I don't know, I could be wrong. But yeah, he's definitely a genius, and he has crafted some wrist blades. So what exactly was the reward that he received for winning best costume at Manga Madness? I mean, he created wrist blades. He had to get something.
So for the Manga Madness prize that Titus won for these forearm blades that he invented, I like to think that he got a pretty sweet, real suit of armor. You can determine what kind it is, but it was really bulky and he wasn't able to maneuver in it very well, so he ended up shrinking it down to be like a little miniature model. And he forgot the tech that he used to shrink it down back at his old apartment. So in order for him to bring it back to a life-size model that he could use, he's going to have to reinvent that technology and that little gadget to bring that back to life.
Okay, I see where you're at now, and I'm glad you said that. So just going forward, this is going to be a realistic setting. The only thing that's not going to be realistic are the enemies that you encounter, but everything in your world is going to be realistic. So you don't have a shrink gun, but you have the next best thing. We'll work on it. But it's not just you. There were some other characters who might have some outlandish abilities or things. But I always find a way to kind of make it fit, right? For example, Earl Birmingham, he's one step away from being a goddamn paladin. But instead of just saying, the knowledge just comes into his head, or, something divine happens, which is possible. I would like to go in that direction because, believe it or not, that stuff is kind of real, in a supernatural sense. And that's why his blessings or his guidance came in the way that it did. I didn't just, an angel didn't come down and say, "Hey, Earl, there's a fucking house over here, and there's some bugles. There's a whole a box of bugles. Have at it." It was more natural. It was kind of, the word escapes me right now. But, if you have characters who are doing things that might seem outlandish, or if you have some ideas that you might think are outlandish, still submit it. I'll make it fit. But speaking of interesting characters, what character in the show so far kind of piqued your interest?
The most interesting character to me so far, I'm going to have to say without a doubt that it is going to be Harmony. And the reason being is that without her bodyguard, Annalisa, she's really scared and insecure in herself. But when Annalisa is around, you really start to see her shine in her genius and her intelligence when it comes to designing technology, which obviously fascinates me and Titus because we're both tech geeks. So I'm really excited to see her character development, and I'm looking forward to see how much she can bring to the table.
Yeah, shout outs to Harmony, who's also the player Nam Ki in Gamma Haven. But she has a character arc already planned. As far as character development goes, she knows where she wants her character to be and how she wants to grow. So that should be very interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. I pulled up with the player of Tao Yang and asked him what his inspiration was behind his character, as he literally was the opposite of what his character is in Gamma Haven, sort of a yin and yang thing going on. And I was wondering if that was intentional.
First off, I just wanted to thank you for having me on here. Thought process when I was making Tao Yang was simple, man. I love cultures. I love different types of cultures, especially my Eastern culture. I love my animes. I love my mangas. I love stuff like that, even though I don't look like it in person, but I do enjoy that type of stuff. So when I think of an Eastern man, a monk with a casa that covers his head, ceremonial robes, I think of a spiritualist, and that was the main inspiration for him, being a spiritualist monk that is able to understand the different paranormal things that's going on in this type of story that we got going on.
Yeah, definitely. He seems like, especially in this scenario, by you being the only person that could have access to that type of knowledge, he's definitely going to be a key factor in a lot of the things that you face. Judging by your submission, you had him doing a lot of guarding, a lot of watching over, as someone who seems like he probably cares about his people. So, is that accurate? What would other settlers say about Tao Yang?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, man. I don't mean for it to be a yin and a yang situation. I love Anarchy 12. Like, I grew to love him throughout the months of doing this. Tao Yang is a change of pace. He's actually loved by all, I want to say. He is a good guy. He doesn't have any dirtbag tendencies or anything like that. And he's definitely there to, further the village and do what he can to pull his weight within the settlement.
After everything that just happened, what is Tao thinking right now?
Tao's state of mind right now is calm. Being a spiritualist, being in a religion that respects and understands these creatures that's out there, he definitely is equipped with the mental capacity to deal with these types of things. I must say that he does, in my mind, know that something crazy is going on out there. He might not know that it's specifically that tree at this time, but he knows that there's something out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing, how we build on top of the fact that he does know his shit when it comes to the monsters and the different lore for these beasts.
Which character so far in the show is most interesting to you right now?
The character that's interesting to me, I have to say, is this Raven character. Like, I really didn't know what was going on. I thought that it was very R-type-ish. I don't understand this Libra-ish type thing that we got going on again in this game. It kind of threw me off, so I want to know a little bit more about this super soldier-ish type of character that we got going on. and how this person is going to interact with this world, and if it's going to be too much or what. Like I said, I look at that when any type of new character that I really don't understand comes through in any game.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up. That whole Libra thing, it all started from a conversation that I was having with Raven, or R-Type X, and his character in Gamma Haven, R-Type X, one of the first perks that he ever got was called Wanderer, because that's something that R-Type X does, is he wanders. So we were kind of joking around saying that he is everywhere. Why couldn't he be in the village? So as kind of a nod to R-Type X being everywhere, this was kind of like a little fourth wall thing between me and R-Type, or the player of R-Type. And it just ended up turning into like a nice little, just paying homage to the god, you know? Speaking of Raven, he's also a major character of ours, and I was able to reach out to him to kind of probe his brain as to what was his inspiration behind making this person. Obviously, there are similarities, right? But it's actually a bit deeper than you think. But this is what he said.
You'll have to forgive me because I'm pretty sick, or coming down with something. Oh, inspiration for Codename Raven was pretty much like this. I was really into RTX and Gamma Haven, and when Village came out, or Village was released, I was trying to think of any type of, all different types of certain type of people, and it's kind of a cop-out, to be honest with you, with not dedicating a background to her specifically, but I wanted to take the whole mystery element and make her more heavily mysterious than RTX would be in Gamma Haven. So the Codename Raven type of thing is more so like, this is the little bit of information that we have from her, and I wanted her to, even by name wise, to be still instill that type of mystery, or maybe a mistrust, or whatever the case may be. So as people speak her name, they still have that mistrust, or I don't know what's going on with her.
Okay, that makes sense. No, that's cool. That's welcomed. You know, I don't look at it as a cop-out. You know, you're going to either have characters who have a fully fleshed background and they want to find a way to integrate that into the game, or you have characters that are just so brand new that they want to kind of build with the game. And I think that's why it's great to have a character like Raven with, you know, a shrouded background, because we can kind of bring those background elements into the story. And this is the perfect kind of scenario to do something like that. Think about any show. There's always that mysterious person, right? And that mystery kind of gets unraveled as you kind of grow closer to the person, and then they betray you. But no, I have a great feeling that you're going to come up with something cool to show us. But yeah, Raven is very mysterious, and I'm curious as to what is her disposition and attitude towards other people in the settlement. You know, why does she choose to live with them? She seems clearly capable enough of living on her own or surviving out there. What brings her so close to these people?
Her current disposition and attitude with the rest of the people right now, as of right now, would basically be one that is hands-off, as she's going to be looking at anybody and everyone and not really taking consideration that anyone and everyone can be trusted. The world itself is collapsing, and it's going to have the direct effect on people. And the first way you feel the world is through the people you're around. There's strength in numbers. It makes sense to be around other people. But she knows something. She's aware of something. It's best to sit there and figure out what you know, what he knows, what she knows, what we don't know, what they don't know, but what I know. And it's best to sit there and figure out what to do with that information.
Okay. I noticed Raven was training with her halberd in the Discord in-character chat room. Is Raven the type of person to teach others and train people, or is she more of a lone wolf?
I'm glad you noticed it. Yeah, it feels like, you know, because she's not so vocal, it's very easy to kind of miss what she's doing, which is intentional. You know, she's not meant to basically, or she doesn't want to be at this current moment to be in front of everyone else's point of view or in the spotlight. Yes, she actually, I believe there was one of the villagers who asked, you know, if they could help her out. I think she spotted one of the villagers who technically can't handle herself if she was alone. She carries a bodyguard with her, and you know, it's best to you know, Raven did allow herself to open herself enough to teach this one a little bit about how to defend herself. And I think maybe because she took pity on her, or maybe because she knows that, she doesn't want to be dead weight or anything of that nature. It might be just a little bit more of her caring personality, or if she does have a caring personality, spilling through.
Okay. And I'm sure that she'll have a lot of opportunities to show that she cares for people, because, some people might need your help. Raven is a very powerful asset to the group. But with that said, what other characters interest you that you've seen so far?
This might be a weird answer, and please don't take any offense to this, but no one, not even my character. The most interesting thing about the village is the concept. We all seen The Walking Dead. We've all played horde mode type games and everything like that. This is, to me, a setup, and the setup is going to take a while. And I like that it's going to take a while, because I don't want to sit there and be entertained now. Because we've already seen that stuff in other medias. Right now, I'm more entertained and more interested into the idea of what Village can be, and how I'd like for it to subvert my expectations. And that's what I'm more interested in. And the people here feel like they're more diverse enough. It feels like they can be. And I'd like my character to subvert my expectations of what I have for her right now. So, right now, the story itself.
Yo, I'm the same exact way, and that's really the whole point of the show. This is supposed to be a show where you watch relationships get built, and then unfortunately some will crumble and some people will die, but it's supposed to be an emotional show. It's supposed to be a very social show where, like you said, it's not just action, but when action does happen, there are so many things attached to each character that it's supposed to have an effect when someone is hurt or dies, because you're going to have characters who build relationships with others, and there's going to be reactions. So I'm with you on that.
On to the Me Neighbors event, another integral part to ensuring the safe arrival of everyone, and for the most part, Joe did a great job. He was the only one that took this mission, and this was also me introducing the first Death Force, a mysterious threat, and Joe Mason did fail this event, ultimately resulting in mild injuries that leaves him in pain and discomfort until healed. And talking does make his muscle cramp feel a lot worse as his muscles twist under his neck. In closing, the village is now open. You will have the option of choosing settlement life or taking a mission. Settlement life is an opportunity to build relationships, socialize, and contribute to the settlement. Missions are events that need to be handled as soon as possible. They will grow harder and harder the longer they stand uncompleted. Strategize. There's great benefit in preparing by using settlement life before going on a mission. And having an ally that stays at the settlement to create and provide things for the mission team is also a wise choice. Also, you may have heard me make mention of the leader in the settlement. After this phase, I will be asking players to vote for who they want to be the leader. The leader will have a passive effect on the settlement as a whole. They'll also have sway over the NPCs in the settlement, as well as the ability to set some rules. The leader can be replaced by all ways you imagine, so keep that in mind. That concludes the P&D cast. Peace and love.